So welcome back to Think Differently. Today we're talking about social media. I knew it would be a hot topic. I didn't actually know it would be this much of a hot topic. I've got several people that have already sent me questions, people who've already said, when is the replay coming out? So if you're here, I think the first thing I want to say is you're not alone if this topic speaks to you. And sometimes I think that just that alone can be really quite validating. So what we're talking about today specifically is how to think differently about social media in this current climate and stay aligned with your values. So I'm going to just quickly, for those of you who are live, I'm just going to put my links here in the chat and give you just a couple of announcements before we get started. The May events for Think Differently are now on the website. So if you want to sign up for another one, you can do that in the links in the chat. Just go ahead and save those and you can do that later. The other thing is, if you're live, you have an opportunity, if you want to be entered to win a free coaching session, a free mini coaching session. I always give away a free session at the end of every month. And when you do enter to win, if you want to enter, just go in the chat and type enter me, and then I'll save that and I'll see that later and I'll tally everything up. What is also important to know is even if you don't win this month, which I'll probably draw like next week, if you don't win this month, your name stays in the quote unquote hat. So like I drew last month's winners, and like one of them had entered like in, I think back in September. So you could still win down the road. And I think the timing is always kind of interesting. So anyway, if you'd like to win a free coaching session, you have that opportunity because you joined me live. So grab the chat, say enter me, and I will enter you to win. Go ahead and sign up for next month. I don't know the topics yet. And I always take suggestions. So email me, put something in the chat here if there's a topic you want me to cover in one of these. I'm very, very open. I'm doing these for you. So if you've got a vote or something you want to suggest, please feel free. I'll decide the final topics in the next week or so. And then if you're on the replay, you do not have an opportunity to be entered because you're on the replay. But I'm going to give you an opportunity, and actually this goes for everyone. I would love to know, because I love the feedback and I love the market research and I love to know what resonates and what doesn't, but also I love to see like what actually serves you best. Whatever you take away from today, if you hit reply to the email, any email that you've got from me, actually I'll just put my email in the chat as well. Let me know what you took away from this, and let me know what you did, like what action you took and what result you got. If you just share with me something that you got from this and send me an email, I'll enter you a second time. So you'll have then 2 entries sitting in the hat, sitting in the hat for that. And then if you're on the replay, you can also do that one as well. Okay, so while I'm gonna get started, for those of you who are live, I would love to know, and if you're on the replay, just like take a minute with yourself. Why are you here, right? What is it about social media that feels wonky for you right now? Or maybe, as I said in my promotional stuff, like maybe since forever, what's not feeling good? I have some suspicions and I'm gonna talk specifically to those, but let me know specifically what's not feeling good, or what's the biggest challenge you're grappling with right now related to social media? What questions do you have that you want me to answer? Go ahead and pop those in the chat now and I will answer questions throughout. And then of course, as I'm talking, please feel free to ask questions as we go. But I would really, really love to know, like, what is it about this topic that drew you here? Why are you here? What's bothering you? What feels good? What feels not good? So we can talk about that today. For me, I want to just start out by saying I just turned 50. So I'm going to totally date myself right now. But the reason I share that is because I was not on social media until I was like, I went back to look, I think it was like I was 33. Okay. So those of you who are significantly younger than me, like you probably were on social media in high school or college or early adulthood. Like for me, I was a solid human and adult well into my adulthood before I ever got onto social media. And so one of the things that always comes up in client calls with me is like other people who think like, this is just weird. Like, this is just weird. And so one of the things I want to just share with you right off the bat is like, this was weird for me too. I still think it's weird. I'm also still just doing the thing. I'm also still using social media, and it's my job to find my own way, right? So much, if you've been in my world for even 5 minutes, you know that as a one-on-one business coach, so much of my work is helping clients to find their way to run their business. There's no perfect strategy. There's no perfect, work schedule. There's no right way to run a business, even if you're like another one-on-one business coach. Like, there's no right way. There's just the right way for you, and what is the aligned strategy? What is the aligned way to be, in your work schedule? What's the aligned offer for you, for your work style, for your gifts and talents? And same with here for social media. There's no right way to do social media. Like, there's just your way. And so what I'm hoping to do today is to help you find your way back, or your way to your way. So also, I'm not going to give you a magic bullet. Sorry. This is real talk. This is nuance. This is gray areas. This is finding your way. And there is no real magic. There is just how you perceive it and frame it for yourself. So back to me being 33, getting on social media. That was, by the way, not for business. I was still in corporate back then. That was just, me doing it as a social, personal thing. So like you, I had to get over some things just to even run my business on social media. Like, that was a process for me. That is a process for most people I know running small businesses online, however much you decide to use social media. And it has been a bigger thing for people in the last year and a half. Since the last election with the current administration in the United States, no matter where you are in the world, you're affected by that, as well as just the influx of AI and the very different content, right? And the just saturation of the market online, in terms of looking how to even find the right content that you're looking for. We're not really talking about consuming today. We're talking about the content that you're putting out. But all of these things, again, this is a topic that's I'm in conversation with my clients on a regular basis for the last 8 years that I've been in business. And it's just gotten bigger in the last year or two. The other thing that for me personally, I went through this again earlier this year, or sort of end of last year, when I was deciding sort of some changes to make this year in my business. And I decided I've done purely organic marketing and word of mouth marketing, and organic on social media, and then word of mouth and networking marketing for my whole business, and sort of varied those percentages depending on the year. But I've started to run ads this year on Meta specifically. And so I had a little reckoning with myself around, do I really want to pay these people, right? And so just to say, these are things that I'm thinking about. This is conversations I'm having with my coach. These are conversations I'm having with my clients. And so again, there is no right way, but I just want to offer a few reframes today to help you find your way. And this may be just a part one conversation. Maybe we need to come back for part two. But this is something that you can do without compromising your values. And that's really where I want you to see today that we can find. It's not an all or nothing sort of approach. Okay, before I jump into the very first thing, I'm just going to quickly check the chat. And I haven't even read the chat, but I bet you $1 million that the chat will make you feel validated, like you're not the only one. Okay. I'm feeling that something is shifting in social media, but can't locate what's next. Yes. There's always something shifting too, by the way. Like, that is also just the nature of any market, any industry, any environment. What is it? Like, death and taxes are the only stable, right? Or the only stable things. Change is the only thing you can count on. So yes, and we will talk about that today. I hate doing social media, so if I can use other methods, that would be great. Okay, so we're not going to talk a lot about other methods today, just to give you full clarity. We're going to talk about some ways to think about social media differently. And I do have lots of information about networking and replays on that. And there's a couple little things, if we have time, I'll share at the end around that. Feeling the same? Okay. I prefer to be off social media, but I have to use it for work 100%. I think that's almost everybody here. So then I find myself spending way too much time on it. Yes. Okay. Yes. And the consumption piece is a thing, right? I think I want to just say something right to that right away, which is caveat, like, we have to take care of our nervous systems, and being on social media too much, whatever too much is, right, is too much. And being on it and consuming it is different than being on it for the purpose of engaging with your people online, putting out valuable content, responding to comments, right? Engaging on, like I'm a big fan of engaging on other people's content that are in my network. Like every single one of you, I probably have you on Instagram or LinkedIn, and when you come up, I want to like make a thoughtful comment to support you and support your reach and all of that. And so those are other things that we can be doing where I'm on social media, but I'm not consuming. And then I have separate and different like personal life rules around how I consume social media, and that's a different piece. And so that's one thing I want to just offer is like when it's a personal and a business thing, finding separate sittings to do one versus the other. And I do think that helps. Let me try that one out. Let me know. Trying to create a website and going crazy, very frustrating. Yes. Okay. So we're not going to talk about websites today. We are talking specifically about social media, just to give you that perspective. And if you're going crazy with your website, it may also feel like that on social media. So you all sound like you're in the right place. Okay. I have a couple things that I want to say first, and that is one, we just talked about nervous system regulation. Like we do not need to be consuming social media all the time. We also do not, this is like not what we're talking about today, but the current news cycle it's a 24-hour news cycle has been happening for like 20 years now, but now it's a whole nother level of, I don't even want to say dramatic because it is actually dramatic, like it is actually big. Breaking news, right? Like I literally see that word every day. So just be very clear and intentional about how you're consuming news, information, and social media. And again, that's a separate conversation. And I urge you to think about it as a separate sort of task on your to-do list or thing that you do in your personal life that is different than you being on social media as a business owner, using it as a marketing tool, and just thinking about what hat am I using can just be very helpful. The other thing I want to say is I'm talking a lot about how to use social media for you in this current environment, right? Please also know that I have spent several years in my business, several seasons in my business where I was only doing networking and I was not doing any social media. It can be done. It does take an intention. No matter what strategy you choose, it requires intention. And there's other off social media platforms, other things, other kind of like pseudo social media platforms like a podcast or Substack is a great one, kind of newer. There's other ways that you can do your marketing. There's lots of marketing strategies. Social media is not the only marketing strategy. And so if you really need to be done with social media, I encourage you and support you to do that and decide where you're going to, right? Like what are you using instead? We still need to market our business. Social media is just one of the easiest and most available, but it is not the only option and it is not for everyone. And every single one of my clients isn't using it 100%. So I want to just say that is also a choice, and please know that. That's not really what we're talking about today, but please just think that, like know that that's an option and remember that's an option. You always have a choice. You should run your business however the hell you want, right? But what I'm seeing is again, I'm seeing a couple of things playing out. One, social media is just weird and it feels weird and vulnerable to put yourself out there. That's just always been a thing. Two, the current news and world situation. Three, AI coming in. And what I'm seeing is business owners, and this is people I know, people I follow, people in my world that are like actual clients, people who are considering working with me that I'm talking about their business problems with. I do get a lot of like behind the scenes, like, is this really happening kind of conversations. And so if I just distill that into themes and things that I'm seeing, I see a couple of things play out in terms of action. One, sometimes people are ghosting their audience because understandably so, they are maxed out with all of the social media and how things have shifted and not being able to find their way through it. And so they're ghosting their audience, or they're temporarily short-term ghosting their audience. This isn't about like you have to post every day, but you can tell a difference, right? Have you ever been introduced? I've just had this happen a couple weeks ago. I was introduced to a colleague's colleague online, and I was like, oh cool, I'm gonna go see what they're all about. And I went to their social media where they had been connected, and like this person hadn't posted for 6 months. And so I literally thought, oh, I wonder if they're still in business, right? Or, oh, I wonder, like, are they still just even like active in their business, right? Like maybe they're just serving clients, not trying to do anything else. And so like maybe they aren't interested in talking to me for whatever reason, right? Like it just starts to be a thing that people go, oh, right? Because people are leaving the industry, right? Like people are walking out. People are saying, this isn't for me. And so just to say like that ghosting piece also affects things like, you know, I literally had a referral and I was like, oh, are they still doing this? And so again, not to say you need to post every day, but I think that is a thing that is happening. That sort of, and anything that you're doing in your business, by the way, or your life, which is, by the way, not nervous system regulating, if we're sprinting and crashing, right? If we're like, social media every day, I'm going to post every day, and then nobody can keep up with that, and then I crash and I don't post for 3 months, right? Finding some level of thisness is the key here. And all of this is about nervous system regulation. All of this is about finding a strategy that works for you, and that sprint crash piece is just going to wear you out. But again, it's one reason I'm seeing people do that is just because they're not comfortable with social media as it is today, and that kind of is the reason why they're creating that sprint crash cycle. The other thing that I'm seeing is, how do I want to say this? Like, I think there's a lot of quiet quitters isn't the right word. I don't actually know what word to use, but like indecision and conflict, right? Conflicting ideas in your mind, meaning, let me give you an example. I have a client a friend who is writing a book, and she's like written chapter 1 and she's written chapter 2 and she knows where she's going, and she's like, okay. And then she gets to chapter 3 and she gets into this like, is anybody gonna read this? Why am I even doing this? Oh my God, this chapter 3 feels so vulnerable. I don't know if I can share this. Oh my God, right? And she's in this space of like back and forth, and she's not actually writing the book, right? And like, this isn't about productivity, but can you see how the brain piece, like the mindset piece here, is affecting her ability to even just decide what she's gonna write about in chapter 3, right? And we kind of get into that space oftentimes with social media where it's like, why am I even here? Do I really want to be a part of this? How can I do this in a way that feels aligned to my values? I'm watching what certain platforms are doing, the owners of certain platforms are doing, and I disagree with those approaches, and that is not ethical, and that is not aligned to my values, and how am I going to do this? And so I want to just offer, first off, that if you're feeling conflicted, that's going to affect your business. Like, it just is 100%. And so we're going to talk about this in a minute, but my first piece of advice is just decide, are you in or out? Most of you have already decided you're in. And then if you're in, great. At what level are you in, right? Like, maybe you don't need to be 100% of your, there's a bug in here, 100% of your strategy is social media. Maybe a smaller percentage of your strategy needs to be social media. And then you need to decide what's filling in the gap there. But making a freaking decision, because somehow indecision, again, I'm not hearing a lot of people say, I want to be completely off. That's not what I'm hearing in my world. I'm hearing, how do I make this work for me? But that is a level, the lack of decision within that decision is an indecision. I realize that sounded confusing. Does that make sense? So a couple of things. First thing I want to share is 2 mindset pieces that have made me feel better, that every single client that I've shared this with has told me that it made them feel better. And so this is the first thing I want to share. And then we're going to get into a couple of sort of one more mindset piece and then a practical piece today. So the first thing is, can you look at the way you approach social media in general? And this could actually, by the way, this could connect to the personal side. Can you look at it like a carbon footprint, right? Everybody knows the carbon footprint concept, right? If you want to be environmentally conscious, right? I think of Greta Thunberg all the time because she doesn't fly on airplanes, right? And she gets on, what are they like? I think she, when she crosses the Atlantic, she gets on a cargo ship so her carbon footprint is like this, right? I can't live like that. Like, I can't be the extreme version. And she actually says so often in some of her content, like, you don't need to be like me. Go find your, your percentage, your mix, your version. Right? So like, I'm on planes all the time. That's just not a way that I can operate, but we are a 1-car family. We walk to dinner I live in a place where I can walk around a lot. Whereas if I lived somewhere else, I would be, driving a lot more, right? So like, carbon footprint, everybody knows what a carbon footprint is. Can you be take the carbon footprint approach to social media? So that was one of the things that I really sat with for myself this year when I said, okay, I'm going to start putting money into Meta. How does that feel? Less good. And I'm going to run my business anyway. Like, I'm not going to let them stop me from running my business. And so I went to, okay, great. What other places can I boycott so that my carbon footprint remains the same or still lower, right? Does that make sense? Because we can't be hippies in the off-grid in the woods, living in the woods, right? Or let me actually say it this way. You get to decide what version of the extreme you want to live on, right? You can be all in, supporting the billionaires, like investing in these companies that whatever, and sort of not paying attention to your values. And then you can go to the other end of the extreme and be like a hippie in the woods that lives off grid. I'm not suggesting you have to just find your own. Most of us need to live somewhere in the middle of that, right? But where you want to live along the continuum is your choice. But making a clear decision about that first, and then aligning your social media strategy to that, can be so much more enjoyable. There's something else I wanted to say about that. And essentially, this is removing ourselves from an all or nothing thinking. I can either run my business on social media and I'm a bad person, or I can find a mix that makes sense for me. Because I don't know of any platforms, pieces of technology, or better said, especially for those of us, like all of us are running small businesses. Like, I don't know about you, but I have like a tech stack, right? Like, I have all these different platforms and systems that I'm using. At any given point in time, I don't know how they're changing their politics, how they're operating, what their ethics are. Like, I'm doing my best to stay researched, but I also need to run my business. And so I think just really important, again, if we take a carbon footprint approach, I'm going to do the best I can with the information I have. And I am going to boycott certain places, and I am going to choose certain places because of their values. And then it's also okay that it's not perfect, right? Because that's all or nothing thinking, and we can't. If we are looking for pure perfection, we will never actually grow and scale and sustain our businesses in a healthy, profitable way, because we will be too busy micromanaging the smaller stuff, right? And not that it's not small, but we just have to find a way that's sustainable. So that's flexible thinking, is carbon footprint approach. All or nothing thinking is, I only have one choice. Like, it's all black and white, right? I can either do this or not. And I would offer that most of life and business are in between. So that's one mindset piece I want to share with you. The other mindset piece, for those of you who are similarly aligned in values to me, which I imagine is all of you, I personally feel like if I quit, and I don't mean quit, I mean quit in any level, right? Like, if I let the fact that our alignment, let me say this differently. If I look at the fact that my values are misaligned to a specific platform, and I let that be the reason that I don't use it, that is one, a little bit of self-sabotage depending on your business model. And two, that means they win. We need you more than ever. We need people like you on social media to get in the way of all the crap that's out there. And the people that need you, the people that need your services, the people that want to listen to what you have to say and want to be a member of your audience, they need you to get out there and do the thing too. Like, this is kind of another version of like, be the change you want to see in the world. And oh my God, how satisfying is it in some ways to use their free platform to further your message and your values, even though and even when I think it's actually in some ways like fucking rebellious to be like, thank you for the free platform. I'm going to use your free platform to fight against everything that you stand for. and really to stand for what I stand for, and use your free platform as a microphone to support what I stand for. And I sound like I'm speaking politically, and I am, but I'm also speaking about for your business, right? Because your business values are very intricately aligned, most likely with your personal values. And so when you're mad, I literally coached a client last week about this. She was just so mad, and I was like, let's use the anger. Your people need to know that you're mad. I'm not saying like riff on social media about politics. Like that's actually not what I'm saying. And some clients do share their political values with their audience, and some clients don't. That's a personal opinion and difference of like, everybody's going to make their own decision. That's not what I'm talking about today. But again, if you stand for a certain value in your business, let people know that, because the thing that's working the best right now, human-driven content, human-driven marketing, human-driven content, purpose-driven marketing, speaking like a real effing person, and letting people know where you stand so that they can resonate with you. People are so tired of the bullshit. And when someone comes online and says like, hi, this is me, I'm a regular person, I believe in this, and this is what I do, and this is how I run my business, and like for me, like this is how I help you run your business, right? It's freaking refreshing. And so that's actually what's working, and that's what all of you, I know if you're in my world, you have this as well. This is what you have in your, like this is actually like such an opportunity for you, because you already have that in your nature, in your way of being. Your job is just to put it out. And so then when you're mad, when you're pissed, be a rebel and be like, oh, thank you for the free microphone so that I can further my agenda that is in direct opposition to yours, and I'm just going to be the change that I want to see in the world, and use the most available microphone that I can. The other thing I want to say politically, and then I'm going to move back to business, which is think of all the organizers, all the resistance, all the activism that's happening on social media. That's sometimes, for those of us in the States, like that's sometimes the best way to get some information. Some of it's not real news, right? But like that is actually how a lot of people are organizing. And so I just think, remember that there is nothing in this, I can't think of a single thing in this world that hasn't been, I'm going to say bastardized, that's not the right word, jaded, exploited, misused, used for bad, right? Like I think about like sex and money, right? You can use sex and money for good. You can use sex and money for bad. It's not sex and money's fault. It's how people approach it, right? And so everything has a good purpose. There's so many people and organizations that are thriving only because of social media. And I would be so sad if that went away, because if that goes, I'm not saying social media goes away, but like if we stop supporting them, then we've lost, right? The good people have lost, right? And so again, there's nothing that's all good or all bad. It's just how you use it. So find a way to use it aligned to your values. Okay, I'm going to check the comments for questions, and then I'm going to move on. Oh yeah, I wanted to just say a couple of like practical things in your content. Talk about what you stand for. And I don't necessarily mean politically, I mean in your business. What do you stand for? Who are you supporting? What values is your business supporting? And make sure that you're articulating that to your people, because that's what people are looking for right now. Yes, it will attract and repel, and that's what good marketing is. Remember that the whole point of this is connections, right? Personal connections, business connections. People want to buy from people that they feel connected to. And so when you talk about your values, or when you just put them in there, right? Like just bake them in, that is, one, it's what works. Two, it's what attracts. And three, it helps you remember that you're aligned to your values. And the other thing I want to say is, I've said this a lot in the last year, but I'm going to say it again because I think it bears repeating. On the worst days for the last couple of years, with the worst news cycles where things have gotten me down, some of the best things I've done for myself is just go to work, serve my clients. It has been so healing to just be like, okay, that really sucks, and I'm still working towards changing the world in the way that I want to. I haven't stopped changing that. And that feels like it actually, me doing the same work now feels like it's a bigger impact than it used to. And so let that be. That has been a mindset that I've adopted that has really helped me feel better. And then again, you can take that not just to serving your clients, but to serving your audience on social media. Let that help you get through the shitty days. Okay, let me check the comments. And then I've got three more things for you, 100%. Okay, great. All right, let me know. Questions? Is this making sense? Is this helping at all with the mindset piece? Let me know. Okay. All right, so I already alluded to this, but it's helping a lot. Okay, good. Keep me posted. I already alluded to this, but I want to talk just a little bit more in depth about it in terms of the decision, right? The decision. Let me get some water. If you're feeling conflicted about social media, which I literally don't know a single person that isn't, right? Like whether it's just like, ooh, this is weird, like this is just weird, or if you're frustrated, like politically, ethically, what have you, or even just the saturation, that conflict in your mind is now a brand new project for you in your business. Whether you choose to see that or not, that's actually what's happening. It's like you just gave yourself a new project, which is be mad, sad, frustrated by social media, right? And so like that's now a new project that's running parallel to everything else that you're doing. And it's sucking out some of your energy and some of your creative energy for sure, and some of your time, because and this isn't about being productive, but it does slow you down and it does wear you out. And we do only have a finite amount of time and energy, right? So the other thing I see is that conflict makes it just like back to that book example, right? I'm writing chapter 1, I'm writing chapter 2, I'm writing chapter 3. Is anybody gonna read this? Right? Like I'm not actually like doing the thing. Now I'm like hypothesizing. And we all do it. Like it's not like, and I also want to say like this is a long-term practice. This isn't just like you get for most people. I don't know. I have a couple of colleagues who are actually like social media gurus, and like I think they actually really, really love social media, and so maybe this isn't their problem, right? But for a lot of us, it is. But that conflict also keeps you from being committed. The people I know, I will tell you, I don't know a single business owner who is doing super, super well consistently. And by that, I mean making really good money, bringing in a solid, healthy pipeline, and also doing it in a way that's sustainable and they're not working themselves to death. I don't know anybody that fits those three criteria. And I've been in business for 8 years, and I have a networking group. I have clients that I'm one-on-one behind the scenes. I know a lot of people doing this, and I cannot think of a single one who doesn't have all those three things, which I think everybody wants, and they're not committed to their marketing. I'm not saying it has to be, again, this is not an all or nothing thing, but that your marketing machine has a process, has a strategy, has some clarity to it, that it's executed on a consistent basis, whatever that looks like. If you're not committed to your marketing, it just makes it really hard. Frankly, if you're not committed to anything, if you're not committed to a relationship, right, it makes it really hard to like be in it and get the suck the juice out of it and get the quality out of it, right? If I don't know, it's really hard to put out some potent social media content. And then that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, because if I'm not putting something out that's potent, then people aren't reading it, and then see, this shit doesn't work and it doesn't really align to my values anyway, and I'm out, right? Or I'm out, right? I'm not meaning most people aren't out, but they're like a little bit out, right? And that conflict is exhausting. So my invitation to you today is just make that decision. I talked about this earlier, but I really wanted to talk a little bit more. Make a decision. Are you in or out? Are you in? Great. at what level are you in? Not wishy-washy in, but like I can commit to 20% of my marketing being social media, and I'm good with that. And I'm going to stop fighting myself in my brain behind the scenes. I'm just going to do the thing, 20%. And 80% is going to be something else. I'm making this up, right? If it's helpful, I would say my current mix is, I would say I'm probably 70-30. 70% social media, 30% networking, if that's helpful. I'm not saying that's what you need to do, but just to give you perspective on what I'm doing right now. Last year it was more 50-50, if that's helpful. And again, that's a whole different conversation, but that's because I just know what my business needs and I know what I need, and I marry the two together. The other thing I want to say is if you are wishy-washy about your content, it kind of comes across in your content. Like if you're wishy-washy in your brain about social media, it sort of comes across in your content. And then you kind of come across as a wishy-washy person or as a like indecisive, again, that's not indecisive, as a conflicted person, right? And like we want to be a sense of authority for our clients, for our people, for our audience, right? We want them to feel that we're grounded and we're trustworthy, and because we are. And so that's just another piece. And the other thing I want to say here is this is an ongoing process, right? I'm not saying, again, none of this is all or nothing thinking. All of this we have to approach with a little bit of nuance and flexible thinking, which is like we're not asking it to be perfect, and therefore we're not asking us and our mindsets to be perfect. This is sometimes why I have a job. Like this is something that, like I have one client I'm thinking of in particular who will bring something like about this topic to me probably once a month. And it doesn't mean there's something wrong with her. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with my coaching. It doesn't mean anything. It just means now there's a new piece of that needs to be processed, and we process through it and we talk about it, and she takes it. And usually when we process through it, that enables her to like let it go and go forth and keep going with her marketing machine and keep running her business, right? So just like anything, we might need support around it. It doesn't mean it needs to be perfect. It doesn't mean we need to eliminate it or like, I get so annoyed when people online talk about like clearing something. Like there's so many things like, I'm sorry, like we don't clear it. Like that's just not how the brain works. Yes, there's some small things that haven't affected you for your whole life. You can sort of work through and move through and I still don't think that clear is the right word, right? Like process and be different around and think differently around it. Sorry, there's a bug in here. Yeah. But I think for most big things, mindset things, they're just ongoing processes, and so giving yourself grace around that, and just the point is progress. The point is to bring it to your coach, to bring it to a colleague, to process through it somehow, some way, so that you can get back to work. Okay, making sense? Let me check the time. Oh, good. We've got 2 more things and 20 more minutes. I got this. Let me just see. Okay. Any other questions before I move on? Okay, so I've got 2 more things. One is, and I had promised this in my email, how to be less mad at the algorithm or hate social media less. I sort of argued with myself about like how to say this. So in case this is helpful, I want to just share 3 things. Again, I'm not telling you that you need to be on social media 40 times a day. And it's a really excellent strategy. And if we're just throwing it out because we don't like pieces of it, then and also, let me just also say, there's nothing perfect, right? There are pieces that I've been networking for the entirety of my business, and it's one of my favorite strategies. And there are pieces of it that I really don't like. Like nothing's perfect. Okay. So one is look at it in terms of the opportunity that it is. Again, I'm going to date myself, but back in 2011 and 2013, I took 2 sabbaticals from my corporate job and I went to Southeast Asia, fun fact. Solo trip, 2 solo trips, one in 2011, one in 2013 to Southeast Asia. And I just took a sabbatical, and I traveled and enjoyed my life and didn't work for the first time in my life. And I desperately needed that. And that was when I sort of planted the seed for, okay, I'm going to leave my corporate job as soon as I figure out what I want to do. And it took me several years after that to figure that out, many years after that to figure that out. But that was when the seed was planted. And back then, those of you who remember 2011, 2013-ish, like there were people running online businesses, but they were like travel bloggers or like even people who, I had a couple of friends who ran like, I don't know, like a tourism business, like an online, like a virtual, like you would, fly in and they would be your tour guide. I was like, okay, I love that. I love the idea of like working wherever I want, living that lifestyle. I don't want to be a travel blogger. Like, is there something else? Like, what else can I do? And at the time, like maybe there were coaches back then online, but I just didn't, like, I hadn't found the thing. And the reason I say that is because when I was coming along, like when I was coming out of school, like everything was go get a job. There was all 9 to 5 jobs. Like that was what was available. There was nothing virtual. I live on a Caribbean island where I run my business from my house. My grandmother would be like, what? Right? If she was still around, she'd be like, what is this? You don't have to like get up and go to work and get dressed and go do the thing. And like, it is such an opportunity. And the fact that it is such an opportunity, and we're actually and I say this about myself too, it's almost like we're so entitled and so privileged within our current world that we're like mad at it. We're mad at the opportunity because it's not perfect, and it's so imperfect, it's so corrupt, it's so lots of things, and it's also such an opportunity. And so just to remember, like I always think about like, what would my grandmother think? She'd be like, what? Right? Are you kidding me? Like first, a woman running her own business. Let's just start there. But it is an opportunity that has not existed. The reason that entrepreneurship is so much easier and has such a low barrier to entry now, it used to be, you had to put up $50,000 in cash minimum just to get started, or take out a huge loan. You needed a brick and mortar space. You needed all that. Like people can just like in 5 minutes turn on social media and, log in and start a business. And you can run your business like this. You can market your business that way. Like, so I want to just kind of bring you back to like, it has never been easier in long time. No. In history, it's never been easier to run a business like this. This is a tool that affords us that opportunity. And it's weird. I get it. It's really weird. And it's such an opportunity. It's also free. When in history have entrepreneurs had a free marketing tool? Like, like people, even back when I was like in my 20s, like entrepreneurs were going to Kinko's and printing flyers and taking them around, right? Like I can just print my flyer and stick it and push a button and it goes to the whole world. Are you kidding me? Right? So again, I'm being a little dramatic and like talking like my grandma, but I actually think that's really helpful to reframe because it's just gotten so messy. It's actually quite simple. This is connection. This is marketing. This is printing your flyer and taking it to the coffee shop, right? Like, and it's so much easier. This is actually scalable. This is so much easier and faster to grow if you choose to accept it. And then the other opportunity one I want to offer is like the me from my corporate job where I was so overworked and I had so much to do and I had all these meetings and cats I had to herd and things I had to do and teams I had to manage and all of the things. And you mean to tell me that like if I just put like it's too hard for me to post every day on social media, like one thing about something that I love, about something that I'm really good at, about something that I think I'm here to do? Okay, that's not like the old me is like, that's not hard. We can do this, right? Again, I'm being a little silly and poking fun, but hopefully that can help just sort of let go of the bullshit. Okay, number one is the opportunity. if you're mad at social media. Number 2 is it's just reality. I love, love, love Eckhart Tolle. If you need somebody to sort of fill your head with mindfulness stuff. But one of his basic premises is like the very definition of suffering is fighting against reality. This is our reality. It's just what we choose to do with it. And so this is the game. This is the game of business. This is the game of social media. I'm not saying you have to love every part of it. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying it's like the most, I don't know, perfect thing ever. And it's an opportunity, and it's the reality. This is the game. Let's play it. And if you're mad at the game and you're mad at the rules, you're wearing yourself out because you're just fighting reality. Again, that might mean that you need to go somewhere else and do some other strategy. And I totally support that. And choose the strategy versus like bow out, right? Like let yourself be empowered with that. Oh, I'm going to choose a strategy that feels better to me. That's very different than just sort of becoming a victim to the situation, because you're the only one becoming a victim to it, right? No, that's not what I mean. You're in charge of whether you become a victim to it or whether you decide to be empowered by it and use it as a tool. That's up to you. Right? They're not doing that to you. You're doing that to you. So that means you can also turn it around and use it as a tool that it is already. That's also reality. And then the third thing that I want to say, if you're mad, which I 100% agree, and I have been mad as well, which I said a minute ago, I want to say it again. Everything can be bastardized. Everything can be, bastardized is not the right word. Everything that has a good purpose can also be used for bad. And so it's just about what you choose to do with it. Other people are using it for bad things. And I'm mad at that too, and I want them to be, tried in a court of law and all the things, but I also just need to run my business and focus on doing it well, right? We get so mad at how other people are acting, and that's a really nice, our brains really love that, right? Like that's a really nice way to self-soothe, honestly, because now I don't have to deal with myself. I can just be mad at someone else in my head, right? But that doesn't actually help me run my business more effectively. Okay. And then the final piece, this is a little bit of a summary and a couple of new things. The final piece is, what are some practical things you can do to use social media to support you and what you stand for and to help you grow and scale your business without selling your soul, without burning out, while staying in alignment with your business, with your values? So the first thing is, we've talked about this, but I just want to give you 3 sort of action takeaways. One is, really sit down, if you haven't already done this, and if you have, pull it back out and revisit it. What are the values that are driving your business? What are the values? Put them on a piece of paper, and then find ways to incorporate that into your content. So you can be like really straightforward about it and put a whole post together and say, these are my values. I did that right after the election for me, but also for you. I needed to tell you how I see the world. And so it could be that dramatically, like that clear and explicit, or it could just be that things need to be baked in. But again, all of these things are things that make your marketing good, but it's also things that will help with the mindset. Tell us what you stand for. Why are you different than any other business coach, web designer, copywriter, coach, shop owner? Why are you better than the other ones? Right? What's your differential? Why are not you better? But like, why you? Why are you different? Why are you different? What do people need to know about you? Right? Like for me, I'm not the business coach that's going to have you grow and scale at any cost. There are even though my whole business model is built around helping clients to grow and scale and grow their revenue, there are also, I would say every single day, I'll say something like, that would actually make you more money, but I don't think that you can sustain it. Or that would actually make you more money, but I don't think you're going to enjoy it. That would actually make you more money, but I don't think that's the strategy for you, right? That's important for me to tell my people. Because if they're not interested in also getting mindset coaching while they go, like, and sort of how they become a better person as they go through their journey, how the mindset or the personal journey of it that aligns to the business journey. If they're not interested in that, they're not going to want to work with me. And so it's important that I tell them that, so that those who are interested in that will stick around. Yeah, okay. And again, I said this earlier, but that's also just what people online need you to stand out. That is something you can do to stand out, and that will help. There are people looking for you to follow, looking to follow you. Tell them what they need to know so that they can follow you. Okay, so that's number one. Write down your values, refresh your values. How can you just bake it all into your content? Number two, I've said this 40 million times on purpose. Make a decision. Are you in or out? If you're in, at what percentage is social media, and can you be 100% in on that 20%, or 100% in on that 50%, or 100% in on that 80%, or 100% in on the 100%? Can you go all in on the piece that you've decided about? And give yourself permission just to make the decision. You will be amazed at how much time you have freed up to actually just do the thing instead of getting mad at it. And then number three, find a both and. This is back to the flexible thinking, but find a both and. So for the mindset, can you let go of it being perfect or just right and embrace the imperfection? Find your space within the corruption that you can stand for the opportunity, for the values, for the people that need to find you. Can you just let it be imperfect? Because it is. It's really imperfect. Can you let it be that way so that you can just go to work? I'm going to hold this. I think this is a different topic. Well, I will actually share, because I think a couple of you, the practical piece of the both and is, what is your mix of strategies? So most people, I don't even want to say most people, I think you have an opportunity to decide what marketing strategy you want to pick, and what percent and how many you want to pick. Does that make sense? So if you have email marketing, if you have social media, if you've got a podcast, if you have any networking, right? Like, you have a choice to choose between those, and you can choose one of them only, or you can choose a mix. I hesitate to say this is such a big topic, and I can't speak to it briefly. It depends on your business model, and it depends on where you are in business. I think that for most people, we need to start with one strategy and grow it before we add another one. Because when we have too many strategies operating at once, we are dispersing our energy. Okay. That said, if it's appropriate for your business to have more than one strategy, I have more than one strategy. I'm using marketing, I'm using LinkedIn, I'm using email, and I'm using Instagram. And I'm running ads on Meta. But I didn't do all of those things at the beginning, all at once, okay? But if you have an opportunity to have multiple strategies, then make a decision in terms of the mix and the percentage of what you're using in a way that serves you in your business. So if social media needs to change for you because of what's going on in your personal life, like I was experiencing brain fog last year, and I was actually posting less because I just couldn't put out as much content. My brain wasn't working as effectively when it came to that specific task. And so I shifted, right? So that was a really good reason for me to pull back. It had nothing to do with social media itself, it had to do with me and the way I needed to run my business. But the right, just like you diversify your portfolio and your investments, at some point, your business needs to diversify its strategy portfolio. But again, please, this is like a whole bigger conversation. This is not me telling you to go find 18 different strategies. And to the point today that we're talking about social media, if you need to change the percentage to help you with your carbon footprint, to help you with how you execute, to help you, another really good way to change your reason to change your percentage is if you're working on something else, right? If you're writing a book, if you're like, if I was focused on growing my LinkedIn more, I might pull back on Instagram, for example, right? Or I might pull back on these lives, or I might pull back on something else to throw that time into something else that was a higher priority. And so that's a really good mix, sort of choice around the mix. And again, if that's what's coming up for you as we're talking about social media, that is a really good sort of thing to look at. And if that's something that I can help you with, I would love to help you with that. That's a really important decision to make in your business. And like I said, I feel like that's too, it's not a thing that we can talk about very briefly here. And it's different and unique for everybody. But it is something that you can practically do. So writing practical things you can do. Write down your values and find ways to shove it into your content as much as possible. Make a decision. Are you in or are you out? And be 100% in on whatever percentage you choose. Not because it's perfect, not because it's the greatest thing ever, but because that's just the strategy that you're choosing. Let yourself run your values through somebody else's platform, and thanks for the free microphone. And then find your both and. Find your both and with your strategy, with your percentage mix. Find your both and with your mindset. Can you just let it be? Both weird, both. You are not unethical for using social media, but the social media platforms come across as unethical, have engaged in some unethical I can't say words. The social media platforms have engaged in some unethical practices. Yeah, it's the world we live in. Can we still run our businesses anyway? Because I don't know about you, but like I can't be a hippie in the woods. I need to be engaged. I need to be with my people. I won't be able to find my people that way. Right? No judgment for some people, being a hippie in the woods is actually the thing for them, and that's great, but that's not for me, and I bet you that's not for you all the way. All right. We are at time. Let me just check the comments. One last chance, if you're live, to enter yourself to win a free coaching session. I also will throw here in the chat the links. Oh, and I didn't tell you, I have a new offer well, it's not really a new offer, but I have for a limited time, I don't know how long I'm going to offer these, but I do have single strategy sessions. I usually you have to work with me. Usually my program, I'm a one-on-one coach with a high ticket offer. It's a 6-month offer, a 6-month program. You can also work with me for 1 week. That's a really good way to use sort of a strategy conversation. But I've been getting a lot of questions, and I've been just noticing that one way that I can serve more people at a time, because I can't put everybody in my 6-month program, is with a single strategy session. So if you just want a coaching session and you want to bang around this idea that we've been talking about today, or you want to map out your social media strategy or your strategy in general, whatever you're doing from a marketing perspective. Lots of my clients are not on social media, or that's not their primary focus. I'd love to help you with that. So the link to book a strategy session is in the chat. Let's see. Let me just finish reading these comments. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. 100%, right? We can't fight reality, or we can fight reality, but like we're gonna lose. Like we may as well just accept it. And also finding ways to be the change that we want to see in the world. Yes, perimenopause, yes. Laura, this was so helpful, especially during the moment of uncertainty. I'm so glad. Thank you so much. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm so glad this was helpful. Yeah, I'm here for all the things. Let me know. Like I said, I will be spending the next week or so figuring out what next month's topics are going to be. So if there's something else that came out of this that you'd like me to talk through, I might do a part 2, or maybe that'll just be inspiration for another topic. And yeah, we'll see you next month at the next one. Good to see everybody. Thanks so much. Thanks, guys, ladies.